For a limited time, the NLA has dropped all of the 2x balls from the multi-X draw. This means that you, our valuable players, have greater chances of multiplying your winnings up to 5 times more in our 2x drop promotion. Yay! And that's not all. As an additional bonus, there will be fewer free play or FP balls to draw from too. Now you have more reasons to add multi-X to your playway bets. So, value your dreams, win your way, and multiply your winnings up to 5 times more in the NLA's 2x Dropped promotion. Promo runs until Friday, 20th October, 2023. Must be 18 years or older to play. NLA, making your dreams come true.
Yeah. As you're coming, go ahead and share up the thing, guys. Share it up and welcome to Ride Along Live. Gail, how you doing, Gail Charles? Is that Gail? Gail, I haven't seen you in eons, in years, ages. How are you doing? Pleasant good evening to you, Betty and Courts. Thank you so much. Rachel, thank you. Rachel Boutang. Val, how are you doing? Big up. Susan Thomas. Rita Smith. Sharon Dwyer. How you doing, Sharon? You inside today. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate you so much. Guys, today we're going to have a very engaging conversation. We have a panel. But the most important person on the panel today, guys, the most important person today on the panel is you. Yes, you. Because this is an opportunity to learn, right? I believe that for many, many years, we will serve some major injustice. And one of the injustice that we've been served is financial literacy. We see every other community, all different community, elevate themselves. And you're sitting there like, well, why is this person, or why is this group of people always, they have what they need. They could take vacation when they want. They could buy houses. They could do all these things. And how come nobody told us about that? How come nobody teach us about that? So today, we're going to have a conversation because it's important to transfer knowledge, right? Like if I know something, I like to always share that information because I think that if I empower someone, right? If I'm able to empower one person or two or a group of people, that means that we have a stronger community of people with information. So that's what we're going to do today, guys. So the most important panelist today is you, okay? Keep that in mind. I'm opening the phone line from the beginning to get your input. Education is liberation. Thank you so much, Lydia. And you can't fault people for not knowing, right? You can't fault people for not knowing because truth and the fact is we learn something new every day. I learn something new every day. And I'm very appreciative of the knowledge. I could learn from a little child. I even learn from my pets, my little dogs. I learn from them. So I learn new things every day. So this is a conversation to transfer knowledge. So join me on the panel as we introduce. I should bring them in one by one. Yeah. All right. Let me bring them in. First, let me feature them. Let's say ladies first. The beautiful lady sitting right there with the bright smile, natural queen, is a very good friend of mine, and she previously worked as on the Housing Authority of Grenada as a loan and collection officer at the Housing Authority of Grenada. She is Janice Lessie, and we're happy to have you on here, Janice. Thank you so much, Janice. You good?
Excellent.
Nice.
You and your viewers.
Nice. Thank you so much. A lot of information we want to extract from you today, Janice. A lot. My other friend here, he is no stranger. They call him my partner in crime whenever a difficult situation comes up. I do not call Ghostbuster. I call Dwight. Me and Dwight handled some serious situation a few weeks ago. I'm still tired from that, boy. Never rested from that. Dwight Sampson, he's a journalist and always have great knowledge and great information as well. Dwight, welcome to the Ride. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, good night, Junior. Good night, everybody. Good night, Janice. Good night to the other guests.
Jankro. And My next guest, wow, his face can't even fit in the camera. Well, you know that already. He is a whole.
You're real take some liberty with me, But anyway, go ahead.
Let me see how to say no. Let me see
All
how to
right.
say no.
Go ahead.
All right. He's a television host, a very good guy, and I was very, very how should I say? I was very I owe a lot of gratitude to John Crow because interviewed me a few times when I first started right along on his program. So I owe a great debt of popularity to this man. John Crow, Caribbean Inside TV. He's here with us with his great knowledge and insight. John Crow, welcome to the ride. How are you feeling today, John Crow?
Caribbean Inside TV.
What was it? I can't remember.
Jesus, Lord have mercy. How quickly we forget.
What?
Caribbean Classroom.
Caribbean Classroom. That's what I meant.
Caribbean Inside.
I wanted to see if you paid attention, John Crow. Gosh.
What's your name gonna kill you for using the psychology program, eh? The Trini woman. Go ahead.
Caribbean Classroom TV. John Crow again, welcome. He's a journalist, a photographer, videographer. He's everything, jack of all trades. I even saw John Crow, he does a lot of giveaways and getting medical supplies shipped to Grenada, tons and tons of medical supply. John Crow, we need your knowledge at this point in time.
Four containers. Container number 4 just got home.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So you have a lot of information. Greetings, family. Right. So, guys, listen. I strategically have you guys here because you guys come with a different perspective. Everyone come with a different perspective, right? And it's important because we want to impart the knowledge back on our viewers. So listen, I started off by saying that growing up in the Caribbean, there were, it seemed like financial literacy was one of the main things that we were lacking. We learned about everything else besides financial literacy, especially how to grow generational wealth. We didn't learn a lot about mortgages and equity and all that stuff, right? Janice, let's start with you because you work in the field before. Why do you think that so many people never got that knowledge of home ownership and equity and generational wealth? What was wrong with our educational system? Or was there something wrong with our educational system?
Okay, first of all, for the sake of the viewers, I want to first of all define what is equity,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
And in the context of our discussion and financial discussion here, your equity is simply the difference that is between the cost and the value.
Mhm.
So if we're talking about property here, the cost is what you buy the property for.
Mhm.
In many instances, it's what you owe the bank, right? So that is
Right.
your cost.
Right.
And the value of the property is when, for example, a valuator comes in and he say, you know what, you bought that house for $300,000, but now it is valued at, let's say, $500,000. So the equity in that instant would be $200,000. Is
Right.
my math correct?
Yes, somewhat.
Do I have
somewhat so.
Do I have
John
an
Crow is
agreement
mathematician.
with the
John Crow
rest
is
of
real
the panel?
mathematician.
Yes.
Right.
That's good.
So that $200,000 there, if you are operating, let's say in the United States, Canada, perhaps context, the value in that equity means a lot to you. You can do a lot of things. You can refinance, you can pull out your equity to
Mhm.
travel, to study, to even invest in another property.
Property, yes.
In the Grenadian context, the equity is different. We can't pull out equity. What the banks may allow is for you to perhaps get an additional loan, which they will tie into the mortgage, such as you might be able to get a car. If your children are ready to go to college, they may look at what you owe versus the value of your property, how you're paying, and all of that. And they may decide to give you an additional loan and wrap it all up into the package. But I do not believe, and we have to be clear on that, I do not believe that in the Grenadian context, we have the level of flexibility to do at will what we may with that $200,000 worth of equity as we have in the United States, for example. But there are some things that we can do. Equity is real. If you sell your property, usually that's when you will actually be able to have that level of flexibility with your equity. right? But if you do not sell the property, there are some limitations, and it's not in Grenada, and it's not across the board as you have it in the United States. In fact, there are instances where people have a tremendous amount of equity in their property, but because of their current financial situation, they may have lost a job, they may have a low-paying job. In other words, the banks here still consider them a tremendous risk
High
to
risk.
lend, right? So you may have equity in your property in Grenada and still not qualify for a loan. So I want to be clear on that. So our audience to be very clear that we're talking about two different contexts here. And once they understand one versus the other, then we can have a conversation. So now, JR, you could ask me the question again, now that I've done that.
Right. No. Well, you before I go back into the question, you brought up a few things that I wanted to touch on there, right? As it relates to the equity in a property, right?
Right.
You would realize this fund, you say, if you sell. So for instance, if you purchase a property today for
Right.
$50,000, $55,000.
Are we talking the United States or
Now,
are we
talking Grenada. Forget the
We're talking-
United States for now.
Are we talking
Grenada Palance.
Caribbean? Yeah.
Grenada Palance, Caribbean Palance, right? You
Right.
purchase a property today for $55,000.
Well, I have to get my calculator because I'm not good with those odd numbers. So
Okay,
right.
$50,000.
I
Let's
can
make
call
it nice
you-
and even. Let's make it nice and
Right.
even.
Right.
$50,000, and in the space of 2 years, you decide, or 5 years or so, you decide, you know what, man, I don't want to live here no more. I want to move. I want to move out. I want to
Right.
go someplace, right? How do you dictate the value, the current value of this particular property? It was $50,000 then. Now you want to sell that property. How do I say, well, you know what? The property is X, Y, and Z.
Well, you know what? You can't really say that. We make a lot of assumptions.
Right.
And sometimes we are selling our houses and we make all kinds of assumptions. But there are some factors that determine the value of houses, and that's why they have valuators. That's why there are professional valuators who will look at the house. They would look at the engineering structure. They would look at sorry, my phone fell. I'm gonna get it sorted out.
No problem.
They're gonna look at the structure of the house. They're gonna look at the value of the properties in that particular area. And I'll just use zip codes just as a factor here. But I mean, we don't have zip codes, but areas. If you're selling a house, let's say in the countryside, in some areas of the countryside, in farming districts, they look at things like roads and they look at things like access to schools, hospitals, beaches. Different factors are looked at when you are coming up with a value of a house. So many times people just say, okay, I think my house is worth $1 million, or I think my house is worth X amount, but there is no real grounds for making that determination. But if you're serious about coming up with the value of your property 5 years after, and you are thinking of selling, I think most banks, especially if the person that's trying to buy the house and they are financed through a financial institution, that financial institution will say, you know what, you need to find a valuator. Here is our list of trusted valuators. To get your property, that property value evaluated, so that when we finance that property, we know that we are lending you money for a house that is worth
And it's solid. It's backed on solid something.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So stick a pin there. We'll come back to that. John Crow, you live in the United States, but you lived in Grenada for a large period of time. Let's look at renting now versus owning a property. From your experience and understanding, what's the major difference and what is significantly better? Which one of the options do you know to be a better option in terms of...
Well, ownership is always better, regardless of whether it's Grenada or any place else. If you own it, you can build equity. I mean, you're talking like, okay, for instance, right, in our language, you like, say you inherit your mother's house or your grandmother's house, and you decide now, well, you have children, and the children are of a certain age. You decide, well, you're going to add a gallery right, or an extension on the house, or you're going to join the kitchen to the main house, or you're going to put a bathroom inside. Each piece of that you extend the house to, you're adding value to that house, and you're adding value to that property. So then the equity that you, and that's one way of building equity. But while I'm talking, I want to just raise one point that a lot of us forget, or we tend to not look at. One of the best ways to build any kind of a equity, or build any kind of a financial stability is through insurance. So you have a piece of property and you insure that property. And I know I'm taking you off your platform for a second, but think of the insurance on that property and how that affects the equity of that property. And the experts could chime in on that. But no, but renting, owning is always in a better position when you own the property than when you're renting the property.
Right. Okay. Right. Important to note that. Janice, I saw you open you was going to say something a bit, and we'll come to Dwight because Dwight has a perspective that I wanted to share shortly. But
Why I can't see Janice? Why can't I see Janice?
that's better. That's for the better. Trust
You
me.
can-
She's too beautiful for you. She might blind your eyes.
Oh God, Lord, she said, flattery will get you everything. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
No. I was just going to say that when it comes to renting and ownership, timing is everything.
There you go.
And so often in the islands, and I always like to use that scenario. You have two young people decide to get married and they go into this huge mortgage,
Yeah.
and it out to be such a burden. It affects the quality of their lives. It affects everything because they live to pay the mortgage. Nothing puts stress on families and on relationships as mortgages that they're not quite ready for. So I feel like while I cannot dispute the fact that ownership is probably the best option, it's all about timing. Renting a property that you can afford while you save your money, it's also a good option. You're not responsible for repairs, you're not responsible for mortgages, you're not responsible for all of that. Get an inexpensive starter up rental property or something that you could afford, and I think it's really all about. I was going to say something, but I lost my trend of thought. But like I should continue to say that it's all about timing.
Right.
And I wish, like right now, we have options like Airbnb. We have options. A lot of people are starting to think, and I'm happy to say that I came back to Grenada. I currently work at the Planning and Development Authority, and I see all these plans are coming in, and young people are wising up. They're getting smart.
Right.
Now they're investment properties.
Right.
Now they're building 2 stories and they're putting a downstairs in with a 2-bedroom and apartment and a 1-bedroom apartment. And they're starting early. They're
Right.
thinking retirement. They're thinking about having some sustain themselves the day they cannot meet that mortgage. And I wish that this is a conversation that a lot of financial institutions would have been having with
Right.
young people that sit before them, going to bind themselves, in the matrimony, and they take the piece of property that their grandmother gave them as for equity. They take the piece of property their aunt give them. They they strip them of everything and give them this big concrete structure that is like a block around their neck,
Right.
wrong the rest
Right.
of their life.
Well, let me ask this question, Dwight.
ahead.
If renting is far better than owning is far better than renting, and let's look in the context of these Chinese houses that was given to the people of Grenada, government and people of Grenada, right? Why then do you believe that if it's such much more interest in having a property that you own and have deed to, why would anybody choose differently than to give you a property, let you own the property so you could elevate yourself?
So good night, everybody. And once again, I think to answer that question, we need to look at context, and context needs to be needs to have a hint of culture. And when we look at culture, we look at the last 20 odd years of governance in Grenada. We realize that other than the Chinese housing, right, and the Venezuelan housing in La Colombe, there have not been any significant contribution towards the development of housing, right? And for whatever reason, the priority of the previous government was never on housing, right? And I think that in and of itself is the first pit. And I do agree, owning is better than renting. And I also do agree with part of what Janice said about ensuring that you don't saddle yourself with a mortgage that is going to cripple you or cripple your marriage early, because of course financial stability is a very important factor in marriage. But I also believe stability comes with being able to stay in one place. And somebody who's renting, because of course I'm not in my own country, I can tell you that in the morning a landlord can come to say to you, listen, I need my property, you have to move. And they can give you 60 days, they can give you 20 days, they can give you 10 days in some instance, and you have to pick up your entire life and move it to another place. And whereas you've been able to get up at 7 o'clock and get to work at 8, you may now have to get up at 5, right? And so there are adjustments, and while those are good, I believe that moving from property to property can also have an effect on marriage. But what I love about this new equity conversation that's happening is that I believe that the Decon Mitchell-led government is introducing something in our culture that we previously did not have. And that's a conversation starter, which is very important and very effective, right? For $250 a month, you can actually be able to say, in a year or two, I am going to own this property. It is mine, right? And I can sacrifice for that period. I can make some adjustments, but at the end of it, it's going to end at some point. But when you're renting, there's no end. And as my father always say, renting is dead money, right? You don't get that back. And while you don't responsible for repairs, in some instances you do in a rental property, because they're going to tell you, hey, you damaged this, you got to fix it.
Right.
While you're not responsible for a mortgage, you are given that money and mind you, over the last year or two, probably since the start of the COVID pandemic, and I'm wrapping up, I've realized that renting in Grenada has skyrocketed.
Yes.
You have property. I am seeing properties, little jam up downstairs for $1,400 and I'm seeing renting Grenada for $3,000.
Yes.
Who is renting these properties? Because if you're telling me that as a public sector employee, my starting is $1,300, how am I paying $1,500? How am I paying $2,000? How am I paying $3,000? Right? But going back to the point I was making about culture, the previous government has a culture of keeping people in poverty. Let's be real. And this has gone on for but just too long. A lot of people, and I know John could bear me out on this. A lot of people leave the rural communities and move to St. George's, but they don't buy property. They squat. They just put up a house somewhere, and that has caused crowding in a lot of areas. If you go in places like Grandin's Valley, if you go in places like Calice and Frequenté, my good God, if one house catch a fire, it could possibly
Everybody
burn
else
down
born.
3,
Yeah.
4,
Every house
5
born.
houses
Yep.
in the same line.
Yep.
And my heart goes out to the fire victims on the weekend.
Right.
But this was an instance. This was the case. So the problem is, the real problem is that we need to regulate this housing situation.
Plan.
It's real bad,
Right.
And I want to make this final point to say that this is the trend in which the Caribbean is moving. Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brong, if you can Google it, about a year or two ago, there was a whole thing going on with him in his constituency, in a place called Bubi Alley in St. John's, Antigua. Listen, if a fire was to break out in there, the whole place burning down, and I'm talking about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks. This is how bad it was. And Prime Minister Brong said, listen to me, I'm getting all you out, and we're going to put down houses there and give everybody. And guess what kind of houses they're building? Condominium style.
Condominium style. Right. Okay. So let's broaden the conversation at the same time. Narrow it down a bit. I don't know how we're doing that, but we will. I want to kind of yeah. It's kind of out in and out. Janko, you want to make a point before we move on to the next thing there?
No, as Dwight mentioned about Granans Valley, there is a situation home in housing, right, where squatters have taken over the cemetery, what is considered to be the national cemetery.
Yes.
And nobody, this government and nobody else is saying anything about it. Okay, I was in Grand Mall the other day, and I was walking down walking down the main road, and I look up, and I see about 3 or 4 houses, literally one on top of the other. So we keep and no regulation, no no direction. So anybody have a piece of land, or they cut a spot and they just put up a house.
Right.
And it's not sustainable housing. Is literally shacks.
Right.
Well,
let's speak. Let's bring it in specifically about this situation that we're faced with right now. The phase 1 of the low income housing project was basically donated by the Chinese to Grenada. Phase 1, they put up a number of houses, people moved in. The initial arrangement was that folks were given not a lease, but they had to pay like a rent, and they would own it after 20-something years. But there was about 80% compliance, where a lot of people just did not pay. So the housing authority couldn't find the monies to fix those apartments. There was leaky roof. There's a apartment in Mount Rush. There is post that is just rotting. If you foot trap on this thing, you get tetanus. It's real bad, right? So the government now has decided to transition from that into a new arrangement where people have to now go to the bank. Now, there is a lot of conversation that this is not the right approach. People are saying, but how low-income people could now afford these properties that, going to the bank and it's problem. Do you think that specific arrangement trumps or is a better arrangement than the phase 1 arrangement, specifically to the low housing projects, this phase 2 of the low housing project? This specific
education. Junior, education. I'll start out with education. Like anything else, okay, you don't have information, you're liable to make bad decisions. So that the government is because the concept that was put out is that you're going to get a free house. And so then the 80% non-compliance is
80% non-compliance. If I said compliance earlier, it's 80% non-compliance.
Non-compliance, right? They're just not stepping up to their responsibility, because in their head, my government or my party that I support give me a house, and I don't have to pay it back. And unfortunately, the officers of the government did not, or choose to not, educate those who got houses. So then they don't figure they have to pay. And so now you are stuck in a situation where we have these people who are in these buildings, and there's nobody paying anything. It's like, okay, it's similar to if you start a susu in our language, right? Now, if you're not putting in your hand, you can't. And then when the time comes for the draw, you can't get no draw because you ain't put in no hand. Or like what we do is sometimes we get we hand and then we jump out, and so everybody else had to bite the bullet because you decide to pull out.
Right.
And education, because even what the minister's presentation in Parliament the other day, she too herself do not understand what it meant to get a loan. Basically, what you're getting is a loan from the bank, yes, and then you have to pay back that loan within a certain period of time or over a period of time, eventually, and then you eventually own the property. And again, you could tell by her presentation that she too does not or did not understand what it meant to actually go to the bank, secure the necessary documents, right, and maintain your property.
Yeah. Janice, we're talking about 80% non-compliance.
Yes.
80% non-compliance. You work with Housing Authority. You probably understand this deeper inside than we do. How did it get so bad? What really happened there? How could people just decide they're just not complying when they are automatically signed this document to pay? Were they told that they don't have to pay? What happened?
Okay, so when I joined the authority, at that point, they had stopped giving loans. And they were already steering persons interested in houses, low-income houses, to the banks. But remember, how the housing scheme in the Limes,
Mhm.
that was probably one of the oldest housing schemes in the country that came into being sometime in the 70s and 80s. So that was a big problem. People were not paying, right? And so my responsibility then as a loans officer was more or less collections.
Uh-huh.
And you have a mandate to encourage and to, in some instances, to ask these people to pay and insist that they pay. But then again, you have to balance that against a political of, 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 of the then government, whoever is in power.
Uh-huh.
There is always a political agenda.
Right.
Social safety nets and housing and these things is a responsibility to a large extent of a government. So it's really a fine balance between getting people to pay and fulfilling those responsibilities to the community, and in some instances, just blatantly prioritizing the vote for the next election cycle.
There you go.
You have a
There you go.
collect this money, but at the same time, they say, go out, collect it, put your strategy in place, call them in, do what you have to do. And at the same time, if you go too hard on them, then you get chastised and you get tapped on the knuckle. So historically, it's been like that. It is a fine balance, and it takes a real conscious person to balance the act and make sure that we accomplish what we're supposed to accomplish. And when you look at what happened in the Limes, and then the housing authority say, okay, if that's how you guys are doing it, now you have to go to the bank. I was kind of surprised that Mount Rush and some of the other projects, that's the phase one of the project we're talking about, they
Uh-huh.
came stream, and it was the same mistake all over again. And this is the first time in this phase two that an effort is made to actually balance the act out where people can get the houses at an affordable price
Right.
through a financial institution, be have conditions in place where, hey, you can't just flip the house because this is not a real estate investment, but within a certain amount of time you have, because the houses are valued, I don't know the exact figure, but I believe that the houses are valued far
200,000.
Yeah.
what is being asked for as a price. So immediately upon getting these houses, and people are not being told things like, okay, even if your salary is very low and you're in need of a house, you can actually find a co-signer, right? You
Uh-huh.
can a relative, someone with a job, join with you on that mortgage as a co-signer and help you get that loan. So all is not lost, and
Right.
people people are being educated in the process. Some people have never owned anything through a bank. Some people don't even think that they could qualify for a loan.
Qualify for a
Yeah.
loan.
This is a fantastic opportunity for
Right.
people. They can slap their chest and say, hey, I'm a homeowner, I'm
Oh, no.
paying mortgage.
Yeah.
Talking about $250, excuse me.
Yeah. But Janice,
You
hold
know,
on a second. Hold on a second. So when you worked it at the housing authority and these people were
right.
given houses, were they told that, you don't have to pay, or pay if you want, or
No,
you must pay?
but the criterias was so loose that it allowed them to get the houses, and
I'm
at
not.
the end of the day, if they pay, they didn't pay. It's because, like I say, it's an agenda. It is at that time I believe that the political agenda, excuse me, I have a hoarseness, superseded the any other kind of agenda. At some point, it occurred to me that the housing authority was just an entity that was there to collect resources from donor agencies and all that kind of thing, to just as a white fund to for political agendas. I must say, over the last years, even prior to this administration, I saw some. There was a new manager at the. I think he has recently resigned, but under his watch, I think a lot of significant changes happened. I still keep in touch with a lot of the old staff from the housing authority, and I think he did an amazing job to turn things around. But to your question, Junior, no, people are never told you can't you should not pay or don't
Right.
pay. It's just that the arrangement is so loose that if they don't, there are no consequences. They don't believe that they will be replaced or removed or anything
Correct, right.
like that.
Or evicted, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something
So
like
because
so it's
what we hearing, and tell me if you guys hearing that too. We were hearing that these houses were donated, was a donation from the Chinese.
right.
Right? The Chinese freely gave that to Grenadians or the government and people of Grenada. And why is it that they're getting charged for it? So some people have the belief, well, if China
Well,
give it to us, then it's a gift. What we had to pay for it for?
well,
But that,
the
okay,
thing is,
again,
right?
But
The
Eh?
this
thing is,
actually did add a lot of a lot into into the houses. I mean, the Chinese left the houses in a particular condition, and this administration literally had to upgrade and put a lot of investment
yeah,
to up to
to bring it,
speed.
to bring it
Um,
up to yeah.
can live as humans and in modern and upgraded facilities. But even without that, yes, it was a Grenada. But if we are to educate our people and really lift the standard of our people and get our people to understand that we have a responsibility to our communities, we have a responsibility to pay for the things that we receive. Nothing in life is free, and we have to look at things differently. I believe that people should actually welcome that. And going back to the comments that Ms. Kate made in the last parliament, I actually think Kate is not dumb. She's a very smart politician, and I think it was deliberately twisting. I think it was deliberately trying to manipulate the masses, the people who are unfortunately don't think for themselves or do not have the capacity to think at that level. I think it was deliberate. And what she doesn't realize, and a lot of people who are spewing these types of vitriol, what they don't realize is that they are stopping people from even trying. They're telling people that don't even try. You will not qualify. It's not for you. You don't belong. And it's another way of just, again, manipulating people and keeping them
in a
in one
certain
place,
place.
in a certain place, so that they can continue to get them to dance to whatever tune they play for them later on when the time comes.
Yeah. Dwight, you
Really.
wanted to chime in on this point here?
Yeah, I came home to a whole bunch of messages on my phone about the presentation by Honorable Skeeter Lewis, whatever her new surname is. And I have to agree with Janice. Now, I believe that the young politician was given something to say in the parliament, and
Mm.
she had to do it. She had to do it. There was no question about it. She had to do it. Uh, but I want to knock on the door of her conscience. As a young woman, as a former teacher, you went in the parliament and spilled out such garbage for a political party? For what? For what possibly? At the end of your political career, you have a life to live. You're a mother. You're a teacher. Come on. Um, the reality is, right? The reality is this. No matter what your place in the societal structure, right? You are given the opportunity to increase your wealth by owning your own home. There's no question about it, right? Um, and you know, I've been hearing this conversation over the past year or 14 months or so about poor and vulnerable, poor and vulnerable. But at what point do you stop being poor and vulnerable? At what point do you and I'm not here to sugarcoat, and you all know this. At what point do you stop becoming stop being a dependent and becoming independent? At what point do you realize that, hey, I can own something? At what point do you get up and seek education? Because the reality is, One thing is certain: just as wealth spans generation, poverty does too. And if you do not take the opportunity to break the cycle of poverty, then it's going to continue. And it's going to continue down generations until somebody wakes up or get up and say, listen, enough is enough. That is the reality. And
Yeah.
NFP has kept us in poverty for over 2 decades. I am not sugarcoating. And as much as you think that they have done you a great deal by giving you an Imani work, but being an Imani for 10 years is poverty. The longest you should have stayed on any Imani program project, it should have been about 2 years. For some of us, we need just about a year. You learn the basics, you get into it, you seek opportunity. And this is the reason why I keep saying, and I've said to this new government, that one of the things that you do as a legacy project is build an adult education center, because it is
Yes.
desperately needed in Grenada.
Yes. Yes.
Imagine people don't understand simple things as equity. Listen to me. You buy a piece of land when you're 21 instead of buying a vehicle, and by the time you're 31, that land make you $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, here is the reality. By the time
Yeah.
40, you are a millionaire. You may not have
Yeah.
$1 million in your hand, but guess what? The bank is going to, when you go to the bank and say, listen, I need $20,000, they're not even batting an eye to give you $20,000, because they may not tell you this, but your land is worth so much. Now, I am from Grandans Valley. My grandmother bought land in Grandans Valley, and guess what? Guess what? The land, if you value the land, I am very sure that my family's land is valued at over $1 million, simply because of where it is located.
Right.
Location is key.
Yeah.
People of Grenada, listen to me, young people. Go to the housing authority in the morning. I was saying to Junior when he called me, and Junior still calling me 2 hours before the show. Anyway,
Oh gosh, man.
when Junior called me 2 hours ago, I said to Junior, Junior, if I was in Grenada, I would have been in the housing authority by 6 a.m. I just sit down there and not move until I get my letter.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Guess what? Me a homeowner.
Well,
Me a homeowner.
let me share this with you.
Yes.
There are at least 2 people that I know who got houses in this new system that they have, and they no longer live in Grenada. But the house that they got, they now renting it out as Airbnb for visitors and whoever coming home to looking for place to stay. And so then, while they in well, I can't say where they are, but they in foreign, they're making money in Grenada with the housing that they got.
But hold on.
But I don't necessarily agree
A lot
with
of
that.
people would say, but John Crow, but it was really designed for low income people.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
low income, but low income, right?
They were low income at the time.
Okay, so they increase.
And well,
But
let's say
but
they
that
fall.
is the reality.
Okay.
But that is the reality,
Yes.
John.
Yeah.
Guess what? The house you own when you're in your 20s, by the time you're 30 and you settle down and maturity starts slapping you in the face, you are looking now to say, listen, I have lived in this house for 10 years.
Let me see. I can make some.
I am looking to sell this house to somebody else. I probably even sell it. You probably choose to rent it or whatever you choose
Yes.
to
Yeah.
do. But I'm choosing to move on from this property now. I gone up in Grenville. I gone up in St. Patrick's. I gone to St. John's or St. David's. I buy a piece of land. I was saying to the bank, hey, I have this property that was worth $200,000 when I bought it. Now it's worth $500,000. I need $300,000 to go and buy this piece of land and build a house.
Yes.
Yeah, you know.
So the idea that Janice raised, Mrs. Leslie raised in the beginning, it come to reality. You don't have to rent. Instead, you own a property, and in 10 years you can decide, listen to me, I am moving on from this property to another property. Your family might get bigger. For
Right.
some of all, like me that don't like to sleep in the night, you might end up with 2 or 3 children.
Yeah.
Oh,
The reality is,
Talk about
you can now
yourself.
decide to say, I am moving. My wife will have me for this. I am moving on to something else. Grenadian people, let me tell all you something. You buy a vehicle at 21, you can buy it Friday, and by Sunday the vehicle mash up.
The value done.
And that day, money done.
Yeah.
And you are saddled with this loan until you're 25.
Yeah.
But guess what? You
You buy a piece of land.
when you buy a piece of land, every year that land appreciates. It doesn't depreciate.
Yeah.
It appreciates.
Well,
And listen to me. Final point, Junior.
yeah.
I remember when I was living in Fort Judy in Grenada. I had a conversation with. I was walking my dog one day, and I had a conversation. This is the real thing. I had a conversation with a gentleman, and the gentleman said to me, "I moved into Fort Judy in the late 50s when nobody was down here.
Yeah.
Nobody was down here." He said, "When I bought the land was cheap. Nobody was down here." He said, "I stayed in Fort Judy, and today, the property I bought, I can't remember the figure of my head, but back in them day was pennies, some kind of something like that." The man said to me, the property he bought in the late 50s, early 60s, this is an old man, he probably has passed by now. He said his is worth over $1 million US.
Yeah.
You do
Easy,
not know
easy. Yeah,
what
easy.
happens.
Yeah.
You do not know. But guess what? A vehicle might end up in the shop. It might
Yeah.
bounce. You might sell it.
Well,
Money done.
Dwight,
But property,
as soon as you buy a vehicle and
it
Once you
starts to
drive out,
depreciate.
you drive it off the lot, it
once
depreciates.
you drive off the lot, you're done.
Depreciate.
Done.
But guess what? When you own a house, it only appreciates. The land under it appreciates. Common people. And I want to make this point that Janice made regarding the Janice and John made that point. Let me tell all you something. Yeah. You see, NNP has been the debt of Grenada. We are 50 years of independence, and this is my own view. We have 50 years of independence. Hi, darling. Oh, yeah, we have 50 years of independence in February, right? 50 years. Almost 25 of that was under the NNP administration. Tell me, how much poor and vulnerable are no longer poor and vulnerable in Grenada? How much people have they tried to sort out the squatting situation in South of St. George is crowded, literally crowded, and the outer parish almost empty. We have a serious problem. But let me make the point I want to make. Okay, the Chinese give us the house, right? They give us the house, a big empty condominium house, no fittings, no nothing, just a big house. They give us a house. We decide, okay, we're gonna give it to Janice because Janice in their own state is poor and vulnerable. So we give her Janice house. She don't have no bed, she have no chair, she have no stove, she have no TV. But guess what? Not by courts, not by postal, not by the Indian store, she gonna get a bed TV. Isn't that debt?
Yeah.
Isn't that debt?
But
That
we,
is debt.
hold on, we have to be
hold on.
careful because people not getting TV and thing in the New
No,
York.
no, people no. This is the point. I want to finish the point, Junior.
You're making a point, you're making a point.
The point I'm making is, right, the houses, you get the house free. But guess what? You still have to get into some kind of debt to furnish the house.
Yes.
You may not get TV and everything in this house, but you get in the cupboards, you get in the closets, you get in a proper house. All you have to do is to put in your bed and your TV, and in some cases people already have that. But
Yes.
then the question is, you live in the house, you get the house free, right? You live in the house for 5 years, and then sooner or later you realize you need to paint,
Yeah.
right? A wall start to crack, right? A pipe break, right? Those things happen. Who fixing it? Who fixing it? The government is looking to you to fix it.
Yeah.
That is your problem. That's another problem because guess what? They give you free. It's not maintained, and this is the problem. A lot of the housing schemes in Grenada were not properly maintained.
Right.
They were in a bad state of disrepair. And guess what? When you have that kind of situation, you're putting life and property at risk.
Let me ask a question. I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you alter the houses in any way? Can you add a gallery, as I mentioned earlier? Can you do that with those houses?
Gallery. I guess they would have regulation because they would have
I think they come with everything.
it.
No, but like, okay, you get the house when you had one child, but like you say, you don't sleep in the night, so then you end up with three. So now the child is growing, and the older one now, you want to, because children don't leave home. So you can tell your husband, listen now, the girl getting big, she's a young lady now, she can't sleep in the bed with your brother no more,
Right.
And so
But
now
that's
you
what
want
I'm
to.
saying. But by that time, John, a significant amount of time has passed. But guess what? We need to empower our people and educate them because we don't know. Previous to this whole housing thing, equity and something was another conversation we were having. We need to
Right.
educate, because if you go to America or England, I keep telling people this, and this is the reality. If you go into England or America or Canada, because we look at these big ones and we say, oh, I want to go there because everything look nice and dandy. But guess what? You have a job. If you're living in Manhattan and you go to Brooklyn for your work, don't matter how Junior tell me. Don't it could be thunderstorm outside. You have to be at work at 8 o'clock. You have to go
You
to
have to
work
be
at eight
there.
o'clock.
Yeah.
There's
But
no question about it.
here's
This is
John,
the
John
one second, Junior. Just let me
yeah.
finish this.
Uh-huh.
The reality is, right? We need to empower our people so that they don't stay poor and vulnerable. They rise, they come out,
Yeah.
and they become better. Go buy the house,
Yeah.
and get the equity.
John Crow said something earlier there, and a few people pushed back on it. But I think it's important that you teach people how to think about generational wealth.
Yeah.
Right.
So John Crow said someone, they bought the house and they moved out and they're now living in another place, but they rent out the apartment. That's perfectly fine. You could do that if you own it, right? But think about if someone that are considered, I don't like to use the term poor and vulnerable, someone that is not equitable at this point in time, right? They're going through some stuff. I don't like to use the word poor. If we get them to think in that way, that in a space of
5 years.
5 years, you could move out of that place, rent that property, or take out equity and buy or
Buy
start
another property.
buy another property.
Mhm.
We need to start getting people to think about their life like that, other than people
Investment. It's called
Thank
investment.
and forever
Thank
poor
you.
and vulnerable.
It's called investment.
Right.
Yeah.
Learn
Thank you.
learn to invest in yourself. In more than just not, it's not just Wall Street where you could invest, because you have a property in, I don't know, Grenville, right? And now Grenville is no longer the town it used to be. And then you start working now. You could work at Sandals, but now the transportation that you're paying to get to Sandals every day, you realize, wait a second, if I'm able to move in town and rent a place, you could rent your house in the country,
Exactly. Mhm.
right? And you move to town and you're renting a property, someplace a little, like Dwight say, a little room downstairs somebody's house in St. George's. After a while, you turn around and buy that property in St. George's. So now you have an investment property in Grenville, and you have a residential property in St. George's, or vice versa. And
Yeah.
and that is what is, when I talk about education before, is all of those aspects. And you mentioned in him earlier, and you said financial education. We have not been educated in terms of money and money management.
Money management. Yes.
And
Yes.
how to manage our finances. So we're making $10 a week, small numbers, $10 a week, right? But we don't know how to take out of that $10 and take $2 out of the $10 and
Save
put
it.
aside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we're taking the $10 and we had to buy rum, and we had to take out the girl, and we had to go and fix the nails, and we had to put the hair, and we had to buy, the newest of the newest, and we had to be at every show. We don't think of putting $2 out of the 10 for the rainy day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Financial
Yeah.
literacy is key. Janice, you've been through this. You are you did insurance. You know all about generational wealth, because with your line of work doing insurance, I know you had this conversation of teaching people. You live today and you take out a $1 million policy. Then your kids are automatically millionaires by the time they're 18 or so.
Trust me. Yeah. Yeah.
Generational wealth is very so we can look at it from that perspective. It's an investment in your life, in your whole, in your kids, in your generations to come. We could look at it like that perspective as well, correct?
Yeah, I think that home ownership is ultimately the goal, and I don't think anybody should think that I am against home ownership, because based on my earlier comments, I said ownership is what we all should aspire to, but
Yeah.
timing is everything, and you do not
Timing.
take on a huge mortgage until you are ready for it, and there is nothing wrong with renting a small affordable property until you are in a position and you understand what your financial moves are and the decisions that you're making.
Mhm.
In terms of equity, I not equity, but in terms of generational wealth, I had a conversation conversation with someone who's been a long-standing member of has been in the industry in Grenada for a very, very long time. And one of the things he said is that Grenadians are becoming more aware and more educated. I think we have seen the loss of lives all around, and we've seen a lot of GoFundMe's, and we've seen all of that.
Yep.
And I think
Yep.
people are
Yep.
understand the significance of having things in place for when that time comes and protecting their properties and all of that. Earlier, Mr. John Crow talked about how houses are in the south of the island and are clustered and all of that. I mean, if you live in North America, like I'm sure most of us have done at some point in our lives, um, townhouses are built. Sometimes the partition of your house, you don't own it. You share it with the next door neighbor.
Yeah.
So it all
Yeah.
has to do with really educating people. Education. You live in a big city. The neighbor has an apartment right next door to your door. So living in proximity to each other in condominium style buildings and that kind of thing, it's a normal part of a developing society. So it's about education and people understanding risks, people understanding the use of things like alarm systems and teaching their children about, not playing with fire and just having, electrical inspections. I work with the planning authority right now. And in case you guys did not know that, the physical planning unit used to be a branch under the Ministry of Works, but now they have become a statutory body since February of this year. And we are very aware of some of the challenges. And I know Mr. John Crow again made a statement about houses being built all over the place with no regulations and that kind of thing. I have to say that the Planning and Development Authority are taking these things very, very seriously. They have employed as much as 11 compliance officers who are out there plying the field day and night. And again, it is a fine balance between a government responsibility to its people to make sure that the less fortunate among us, as one of our persons in the audience said, that these people are provided for. Because it's building a house means that you'd have to get a draftsperson to draw a plan,
Yeah.
right? It's not cheap. We have engineers, we have draftspeople, we have architects out there. They charge for their services. In addition to that, there are fees that the planning authority charge. And the truth is that there are people who cannot afford that, especially when you're talking about the people who are relying on social network programs to
Right.
get bored and galvanized and things like that to not something for them to live. Because one of the conditions of the Plan and Development Authority is that for you to get approval for constructing a house, you have to either own the land or show that you have permission to use the land. There are a lot of people who are squatting and who are living on of other people, and they may have the access, but they do not have the evidence of that permission. So it
Right.
becomes difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just always a fine act, and sometimes I want to be too hard on any particular administration. At the end of the day, always find balance.
So, somebody has a fan. Somebody has a fan going. We didn't hear your last words, but here, Dwight, I want you to chime in here. But we also have to make a differentiation because a lot of people, I think, still have a misunderstanding, a misconcept of the low income housing project, right? And it is called low income housing, and it's not no income. That's a big difference. Low income mean that you are employed, but your income is low, right? I think government even have to do. Sorry, I had to sneeze about a whole hour ago. Right. So there have to be a differentiation between low income and no income.
Right.
Government might still have to do something to deal with the fact that there are people with no income. Now, low income means that you are working. So people were saying, so what about people who can't afford to or is not working and they can't go to the bank? Well, if you are no income, if you don't have an income, you will not qualify in the first place for low income housing.
Right.
Right.
Low income in low income, but there's still a gap. There's a disparity gap between people who have now no income. What is being done for the no income earners, people that don't have any job whatsoever? But Dwight, you wanted to chime in. I don't know if you want to chime in on that or anything else.
Well, yeah. And actually, I was going to make 2 points. One of the points is about the low income and no income for real, because the reality is that Honorable Senator Claudia Joseph and her team just concluded the whole conversation of minimum wage, and minimum wage tells you what is low income or what is considered to be low income, and there are wage. There's something called a wage scale, and the scale. I know the union president some time ago was talking about it. There are different levels. Even for public sector, there's levels. I don't want to go into it too much because I'm not 100% on how it is graded, but there are grades, and so I want to believe that low income means that you're earning somewhere below $2,000 a month. Right. Which means that out of that $2,000, you have to pay your transportation, you have to buy your food, you have your other monthly expenses, your roll-ons and so on. You have those expenses, and then there are other miscellaneous things that you would need to. You need to buy gas, maybe for the vehicle, gas for the house, etc. All of that is what is considered when you go to the bank to get a loan. They want to know how much fiscal space you have that you can afford to pay back.
Space. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Fiscal space, yeah.
Right. They want to know how much fiscal space, which means how much extra money you have that you can pay back this loan. And in some cases, you may be working, you may be earning an income, but you don't have no fiscal space. The bank is going to tell you, no, we can't give you this loan. Because then you'll be struggling to pay back the loan, right? And in instances where you're struggling, and this is one of the reasons why when you go to the bank to get a loan, they take the money out of your salary before you even get your salary.
Right.
Because they don't want to give you the option of coming to pay us because you might never reach. Right? So the reality is these are the class of people, because $250 really and truly for a house, an unsecured loan, you're running about $300-$400. John, tell me about $300-$400 in the islands for a $10,000 unsecured loan. It's very difficult to think about the unsecured loan. Anything below that, it might be $250, $240, $250, $260, $270, $280, $300, right? But you talk about a $75,000 loan mortgage for $250. That is seriously subsidized, and subsidized mean that the government is saying we are going to bear some of that cost. We are taking on some of that cost, and we just allowing you to pay the bare minimum.
To help build society.
And this, my friends, this Grenadians is seriously good. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. There's no other way to look at it, right? And guess what? Okay, so let's say your rent, because I don't know anybody renting anyway right now for $500. But let's say your rent is $800. I don't even know that that's still possible. Let's say your rent is $800, and you got this opportunity to own one of these houses, right? The Chinese houses.
$250.
You paying $250 from that $800. People, you have $550 that goes back into your fiscal space.
Into your pocket.
This goes into your pocket. So you can take that $550 and you can go to my one insurance company in town and say, listen, insure my condominium for me, please and thank you. And
thank
everything inside it. And
thank you very much.
Upon the equity that thing is building, which is $166,000, is building equity of $166,000. You're not building insurance on this.
On that, right?
Yeah.
You building insurance on this. So 166 plus the insurance. My good, listen to me. Somebody call Philip and tell him we want all these houses, please and thanks.
And thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You tell me
let me show.
If I get this at 23, you tell me by 33 I'm almost a millionaire.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
Let me throw something in here.
Yeah.
The young lady mentioned before when I talked about building houses everywhere and so forth. No, I had to give some props to the building authority, housing authority in Grenada.
Yes.
In spite of what I said about the houses going up, and yes, we have houses going up because we know, we're smart and we have ways of avoiding the people seeing us do whatever we do. So the piece of land have one house and then is my land, so I could put a next house in the back and whatever. Because I look at a house born, three houses born in Dabo. A couple of years I was home, and it was a shame. But anyway, that's a different topic. Uh, um, the housing authority, I understand. The road that fell down in Molinaire was because the housing authority stopped the individual or told the individual that the house that he wanted to put down in Molinaire that caused the road to fall, the housing authority told him with no uncertain terms that that house is wrong for that location. And however, but he know people who know people, and so he went ahead and built a house, and that is what created the destruction of the road in Molyneux. Facts. So, my dear Miss Leslie, I concur with you, and I'm agreeing with you. I know the housing authority is doing a marvelous job for the most part. But then again, like I mentioned before, we have those of us who are smart and we know how to get around certain things, and so we take advantage and we do what we're not. Okay, yes, okay. Oh, that's right. Allegedly, I'm supposed to say that, right? Yes, allegedly, we do these things when we're not supposed to do these things, and the inevitable happens. So I'm not just blanket that well, housing authority is not effective and not doing what it's supposed to do. I'm aware of how efficient they can be when they have to be, and so on. Now, the Dwight said something just now that triggered another point that I was making earlier in terms of the insurance. I mentioned it earlier. If you, as a homeowner, understand how you can build generational wealth through buying insurance on your property, and then there's oh God, I can't call names, but there's a gentleman who I know who, when he was ready to pass on, quote unquote, his legacy to his children. People looking at him, and he was just an ordinary man, right? When he decided to let go of his quote unquote financial responsibility to his children, everybody was shocked. As a matter of fact, he bought a bus, and brand new bus, and put on the road cash for a man that wanted to marry his daughter, one of his daughters. Okay, out of his insurance monies that he had saved up, cash. One of them thing buses on the road, and that's no fairy tale.
Right.
No, it's not. It's an actual true story.
Let me
I know this story.
Oh, do I know the person too?
I know the person, yes.
Let me just say this, guys. Hear what we learned so far, and it's important that we keep it in perspective, because I want people to take away. I want people to come out here with some knowledge, right? Specifically about equity and the importance of equity. So here's what we learned so far, guys. Owning is far better than renting. Anyway, renting is like flushing your money down the toilet. We all know that. If you are in a position where you already have an acceptance letter, forget what any politician tell you. It don't matter who. No matter who. If you have that acceptance letter, take that acceptance letter and go to the credit union or the bank. Bring your bank
The credit union, and let me plug in Grenville Credit Union right here.
Right, credit union or bank. You go in there with your job letter and all the prerequisite information that they ask for. Go in there with that, and the government guarantee these loans. You have equity in your property. 99.9% of the time, you will be accepted. You would get that loan. The money that you are paying, you're not paying $55,000. You are approved for $55,000. So forget what any politician told you before. You are actually going to be paying monthly about $150 to $200 or sometimes $350 per month. You're not paying $50,000. People trying to complicate it and they're trying to get into your head. You're not paying $70,000. You are paying 150, 200, sometimes three, if so much 500 per month, if so much, right? Based on your salary. The third thing that we learned today, guys, as far as we understand, it is low income, not no income. It is low income. That means that you're working
Mm.
and you're getting an
A
income,
salary.
a salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it's important to add that if you, it is and it was a gift to Grenada, but that doesn't mean that it's free. It is not a no income or a free housing for everybody. The government, even the previous administration, had a contractual agreement with these people who's living in these houses to pay on a monthly basis. It was poorly done. There was 80% non-compliance. People wasn't paying it. So you can't do the same thing and expect a different result. So they changed it. But I firmly believe, and I think everyone on the panel here would agree with me, that the arrangement of having to own this property is far better than
Agreed.
just arrangement. All right, that's what we learned so far. Dwight, come in.
Yeah. So and one of the things, right? One of the things, and let me be real. If you pay money for something, you appreciate it more than if it's just given to you free.
Yep.
Any day.
You will take care of
Any
it.
day. And you take pride in it. You
Yep.
take ownership in it. You believe in it. Listen, I cannot begin to count the amount of young women, whatever reason, were mothers in their late teens, early teens, whichever, in their 20s, and they realize, listen, I need to do more for my children and now have the opportunity to own a home and bring that level of stability to their life, right? And then could say, listen, I'm not going to go and get some degree or get some kind of education and build myself. Listen, the opportunity are endless. We are not empowering people to still become poor or still to become dependent. I hate the word poor and I hate the word poor and vulnerable. And I've been using it because it was pelted around in Parliament today that I was so embarrassed that in 2023 politicians are still calling people poor and vulnerable. I cannot. No, listen, people, young people, do good for yourself. There are opportunities, and I'm using this platform to call on the financial institutions in Grenada. Let us come out and do some more
Education.
financial education. When I was young, there was something called savings union in school.
Ah!
That taught me how to save money. You know how much school books I bought for my saving union?
What 7 Union, right? And then the other one in the harvest when you have to put money every Sunday on your card so that when harvest come around, you could buy your ice cream and you could show
buy
up on your friends.
snacks.
Whitner, John Crow and Dwight are they in the same age group? Same.
Don't mind that. Don't watch that. Don't watch that. What's wrong with you?
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry
But
that.
yes,
No,
but that's a reality. That's a reality. We need to start teaching people about go into the PTA meetings, go into the churches. I am calling, and this is why I love that particular pastor from Belmont. That man does open the church door and do all kinds of things that on church. But guess what? People learn, people grow. Shout out to Pastor Stanford Simon. He teaches people.
Yeah.
And I'm calling on the Alliance of Evangelistic Churches. I'm calling the national, what do they call them? Conference of Churches. I am calling on the schools. Open up the door. Let people come in and teach people financial independence.
Absolutely. Okay,
Teach them.
let's get some information and some real knowledge here. The Prime Minister spoke today in Parliament, and he raised the issue of equity. Listen to this.
You were in administration for 9 years. What did you do?
Right Along Live.
I feel compelled, Mr. Speaker, first of all, to commend the Leader of Government Business for his sterling presentation to the Honorable House when he presented his minister's statement specific to the relation of housing,
Lighting, boy, lighting. Oh God, the lighting.
and for his additional clarification that he raised in the question of equity. But Mr. Speaker, I at the risk of being political, I will be so. Because I want us to be accountable to people. These homes were completed at least, Mr. Speaker, at least 1 year. At least 1 year. At least. And in some instances, more than 1 year. Before there was a change in administration. So my learned and distinguished friends had the opportunity to craft any policy they wanted in relation to these homes. They could have given them out if they wanted to. They could have rented them if they wanted to. They could have sold them if they wanted to. They could have done a combination of all three. They kept them locked up on the secure keys. The public couldn't even go. I went to the current housing scheme. I was not permitted to enter. The security guard told me I cannot even come on the compound. Why? Why, Mr. Speaker? Wait for almost a year and a half. And then miraculously, in the case of Carrickmore and P.T. Martinique, mere weeks before the election, you hurry down some scurry names and issue some letters and tell people you're putting them in the homes, in the apartments. Why? So when we come here, we talk about, we care about people. And some people can't afford. Of course, we know some people can't even afford the 250. You were in administration for 9 years. What did you do? Well, COVID, what did you do? So, Mr. Speaker, we accept that the housing situation in Grenada is dire. We accept that the responsibility now falls to us to try and address this situation. But let us be real, Mr. Speaker. If, and there are many persons, because you could just go along on St. John Street and you can see people on Melville Street sleeping in the bus terminal. You can go on St. John Street and see people sleeping. There are homeless people all over Grenada. Have we constructed homeless homes in the last 9 years to house them? No. So let's really talk about the poor and vulnerable now.
So we put this entire video on the Facebook page, so you guys could go and take a look at it. In fact, the whole Parliament proceeding was live on Right Along today. You guys could take a full look at it. But basically, the Prime Minister is alleging that one of it was done for political reasons. The way how it was given out, it was done for political reasons, political benefits. And Janice even mentioned that during the time of the phase one, how the whole situation was politicized. But I want to kind of wrap it up here because we kind of over time our regular time already. And let's talk about the way forward. So people who are sitting here, people who are watching, people who are consuming this information, some people who are learning about this whole procedure of equity for the first time. Give us your conclusion, Janice, and even probably in a minute or so, help to educate the people about the procedure of equity and what they should do in the immediate if they gifted ownership of any one of these properties.
Okay. One of the things I want to talk a little bit about before I get to the substantive point that you made, the distinction between low income and no income. You gave a definition on what low income was, and I think we have a situation here where no income people had an expectation because somehow I don't know if it was deliberately sold to them that way, but they had the impression that it was a gift. So if it was a gift, there was no need to have an income. It would be something that would be handed to you. So there's a substantial percentage of the population. In fact, I heard today that the unemployment rate is as low as 11%, but there is that 11%, for the sake of discussion, who has no income. And somehow they believe that having no income also qualified them to get one of those houses. And I think they have suddenly realized that having to go through a financial institution now automatically disqualifies them. So
John, stick up in right there. But here's what I'm saying. People who know better is still pushing that narrative. I heard ministers pushing that narrative up to today, even talking heads. They're pushing that narrative. But they know that that is not a fact. They know that that is not the fact.
here. I was actually getting to that. The next
Yeah.
comment getting to is that there it was sold to them, and there are people who are continuing, such as the Miss Kate. They are continuing to capitalize on the lack of knowledge or the circumstance of certain individuals. They are continuing to do that just to manipulate people. But the truth is that, as you rightfully say, the houses were designed for low income and not for no income. And for no income people, there are social network programs such as the materials program. They can go to social services and they can ask for assistance. They can ask for help getting jobs that will now put them in the category of income earners. And so I think once we're able to make the distinction between low income and no income and understand that these homes are not targeted towards people with no income at this time, then we don't have a problem. And that is what people need to understand.
Nah, important. Very, 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 very
It's
important.
very important. This
Yeah.
particular phase of the project is just not for people with no income. It is for people who are low income, and that's just the end of it. There are other programs and other things in place for people with no income, but if you have no income at this time, you just do buy. And
Right.
as you said in and off the show, people have to just turn a blind eyes, ears, blind eyes, and deafen their ears to these politicians who are trying to get political mileage. At the end of the day, this program, this housing project, is for all Grenadians. Doesn't matter who you are, who you voted for. The Prime Minister was very clear about it. Every Grenadian has an opportunity to apply, and once they meet the criteria, they get their letter, head to a financial institution, even if you're not sure that your income rises to the level, because I think usually the bank wants you to not utilize more than 40% when you're qualified for some kind of mortgage. You may have to get the help of family members who may have higher abroad and to help you and say, I am willing to be a co-signer for you, because after all, the amount is very, it's not very high. It's a low amount to be paying for a property that has so much equity going into it. So take a chance, take a risk. Don't sit home and assume that you cannot qualify. Go out there, get information. Once you have a job, however small, whether you're working on a estate, you're working in a factory, you're doing, even if you're working as in someone's home, as long as you have an income, you're paying your NIS and all of that, you may just qualify. So don't sit back. Go to the housing authority, and you may well meet the criteria.
Even if you're self-employed, is also important to add that as well.
Self-employed. It's so important to add that point, Junior. Yes.
Absolutely. Dwight, let's wrap it up from your perspective. Let's give some
Mute.
education out there. People taking notes. They have their pen and paper.
Junior, there's so much I want to say, boy. I think I need to get more channel on Ride Along. tell me, people, what y'all think? But they boy, so much I want to say. Listen, daily I go on a particular news site just to read, because of course I have a life, so you don't get to always sit down and listen to the news. And I sometimes go on the job listen and just scroll through. Because I myself looking for opportunities, and if I can get back to Green in the morning, trust me, I will. And the amount of jobs I see posted daily, and I'm surprised. I have a friend who has a site that says jobs in Grenada. I get their notifications. No, there are jobs, people. And I think that we need to make it clear that the era of handout is over. This is just the reality. And at some point, we had to move on. Somebody had to make that bold decision, a bold step. Some government. It's over. And this previous administration, the opposition MP in the House, the NNP, call them what they are just hungry for power. And I think that the new government has shown us so much that so much wrongs have been done to us that I can't understand for the life of me. Why are we still listening to them? It's always jobs for their chosen people. Everybody else is poor and vulnerable, but their people are advancing. You know, I mean, Andy just last weekend, I believe, Honorable Andy Williams had a whole symposium at CTEX gas station in the south for persons within his constituency that were unemployed and looking for opportunity. It
Right.
was a success. And I'm saying I'm hoping that more of the MPs could do that. Or, they could create a central desk where some people can go and empower yourselves. Grenadians, please empower
So
yourselves.
your
There are
word is empowerment. Empowerment.
yeah, there are,
And,
and this is what this housing does. It empowers you. It
right.
gives you that title, that chip on your shoulder. I am a homeowner. I am
Right.
35 and I own my own home. I am 20 and I own my own. I'm 30 and own my own home.
Yeah.
And I can build from there and I can grow and I can develop and I can make something of myself. I can end this cycle of poverty, and I
Yes.
can now say, hey, I'm doing something for my children. If you love your children, do this for them. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Junior, stop calling me 2 hours before, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
always
know.
it's always a
It's
pleasure.
sad. It's sad.
Always a pleasure. I'm
Let me
very
just-
tired,
Yeah.
but it's always a pleasure to be here, bro.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me just add before I go to John Crow that we found out that the tertiary education TAMCC is offering some free courses. And I want people to start taking advantage of these opportunities because there are opportunities that exist, right? In fact, I even heard a minister said that a lot of times they have to sign so much work permit because they have to get people from abroad to come in and do this job. The fact of the matter is there are opportunities available, but sometimes the people or a fragment of the population are not qualified to do the job. So it starts with if you are in a position right now that you don't think that you're finding a job in your niche, how about first investing in yourself? Go and sign up for a course at TAMCC. Whether to become, there even media courses I heard. They offering media courses at TAMCC, I believe. I heard that someplace. Or be a tourist guide. You could take some courses to become a tourist guide and you could get a work in the tourism sector, right? There are so many opportunities. So don't limit yourself. The thing about it, people put themselves in a box and they lock themselves in that box. They don't step out of it. There are opportunities that are available, but you have to put yourself out there. Invest in yourself. Take a course at TAMCC and invest in your education, invest in yourself. Let's, on that note, hold on. Before we go to John Crow, hold on, John Crow. We have a call on the line. Let me just take this call and then we go to John Crow for his final words. Caller, you live? Where are you calling us from? Hello? Hello? Hello, caller, you there? All right, hold on, caller. Caller, you there? Yeah, caller, hold on. Let me put you through the system. 1 second. Caller, you hearing me? All right. Hold on. Let me take you to the speaker. All right, caller, go right ahead.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Yeah, go ahead. Listen to me on the phone line.
Yes, I am listening on the phone.
Yeah, go ahead. Make your point.
Okay, I'm just calling quickly. I spoke last night, but one thing I want to say, after looking at the parliament today, yeah, I'm on the phone line.
Caller, no, just go ahead. Listen to me on the phone line. Just go
Yeah.
ahead and speak.
Yeah, okay. I was looking at parliament today, and the issue of the housing came up. I mentioned something last night, but one thing I want to say, let me say there is a brother to the economics, which is the accounting. And if people understand the basic of the equity, it's like the principles of accounting is assets. That's if you buy that apartment, that's your asset. The liability, that's your mortgage payment. And the owner's equity is all of the benefits that come from all of this. And I think, again, that Kate and Dr. Clarice needs to do some research. And I think that people need to see that this is the best thing after sliced bread that could ever happen to Grenada. And on the same note, I want to shout out to John Crow. I've been at school, we went to SAS together, and so on. So I just want to say hi to him. I don't want to give my name on.
Yeah, no problem.
on
Thank you
TV.
so much, caller.
Okay.
We appreciate you. Yeah, absolutely. Invest in yourself. The basic underlying factor. Dwight, we'll come back to you real quick. John Crow, make your final closing point, and then we get your point. John Crow, go ahead. We close it. Sorry, John Crow.
Getting all kind of time. What kind of behavior is this? Hey, you see, I have people calling me out and shouting me out. Stay with me. Stay with me. Listen, I give you a practical example of how we could eliminate this poor and vulnerable. A partner tell me the last time, he said, John Crow, I make $1 million with one patch of land. He said the drain behind my mother kitchen. I stick a few dashing plant in the drain. And when I harvest the dashing plant, after I harvest the dashing, from the dashing alone, was $1 million. But before I even harvest the dashing, I cut the callaloo. And from the callaloo, I was able to make $500,000. So with that little patch of dashing plant, he was able to make $1.5 million in Grenada. And this is not a make-up story. True story. I ain't calling him in, but nonetheless, the idea that people are unemployed and cannot create or make an income and so forth, there are several ways that you could help yourself in that place. But the main thing that I'm going back to this again is education. We have to the financial institutions, the government, the ministers, as well as the bank, as well as the credit union, you have to start, I should say, continue with educating people along the line of financial literacy. It is not a joke. The mistakes are made because most of us are financial illiterates. I did not understand. It's only recently I learned what equity was. I was asking people around me, well, hearing about this equity. What is this equity thing? And I'm a homeowner, right? And I should know this. Okay, I have a teenage son, and I should know this. But I was never taught at an early age as to how to build wealth and how to become financially independent. So then it's about, okay, I make $1, I'm gonna spend $5 because I want to have the latest of whatever it is. I make $1 and I had to go to the best shows. I had to go to the best restaurants and so on and so forth. We have a responsibility, and I'm glad that you did this program and you focus on what we focus as opposed to the political noise. The politicians and them, they have a job to do, and their job is to keep us ignorant. As long as we're ignorant, we cannot challenge them on the nonsense. As long as we're ignorant and we don't have any reference to anything else, we're going to be always poor and vulnerable. But when we become educated, now we become independent. And one of the things I had to give them a little plug, SGU. SGU offers adult and continuing ed classes as TAMCC. And it's a matter of if you have an interest, okay, and you want to learn something, you're going to put yourself, in a position where you could learn from the best of us.
Yes.
As opposed to sitting back and listening to Ride Along and watching us on Facebook and making noise.
Ride Along, by the way. Nothing wrong with listening to Ride
No.
Along.
Hello. I'm not saying anything wrong. I'm saying, but if we spend the time just doing that alone, and that is where we get all our information from, then we're not going anywhere. Okay, but you have people like Dwight. I'm glad I'm meeting Dwight, for the first time. And Miss Leslie lady, you didn't put up your picture so I could see how pretty she is. But she's very smart, and we have a lot of smart people in Grenada. A lot of smart people in Grenada.
Yeah.
And who have information. Okay, organize the workshops. Organize the those evenings. Of like you talk about the minister and organizing that thing down in the south. More of the ministers need to be doing that. So an educated consumer is your best customer.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so Grenadians, knock on your politicians' door, knock on your ministers' door, and ask them, where are the education of the community? Where are your classes? Where are your extramural classes? I mean, we used to use those centers, the schools, after school programs and so on. We used to use that and having all kinds of learning culinary skills to learn. I mean, my cousin used to make jam. She's the first one I know take the nutmeg shell, the outer casing of the nutmeg to make jam,
Right.
to make jelly. You know, guava cheese is one of the nicest things that I know. Only Grenadians I know make guava cheese. I don't know any place else make guava cheese. And I've traveled to several islands of the Caribbean. And
Right.
Grenada is the only place I know make guava cheese. So we have the golden apple, all kinds of different things that we used to do. My grandmother I was a queen of the Cancanais.
Yeah.
You know Dwight, you know what Cancanais is?
Yeah. We all know what Cancanais.
But thank you so very much, Junior. Let me plug here. Credit Union in Granville. Join the Granville Credit Union, and to all of the people who received items from the container that was just brought home. You know, I appreciate you and all the nice sentiments that you shared. Thank you so very much for the love.
And thank you so much, John Crow. And also, we want to say hi to Minister Andy Williams, who is locked on right now. And I'm sure he's taking notes because he was on last night as well, and you got a mouthful. A lot of people called in, a lot of people viewed. I think it's probably up to over 20-something thousand at this point. More engagement is very necessary.
Education.
Time. Dwight, I know you got to make a point, but I got to take this call. This call I've been waiting for a while, and then we'll come to your final point and close it off. Caller, you live? Where are you calling us from?
Good night, Junior.
Hey, caller, go ahead. You got to be kind of brief. Sorry to rush you, but we are that overtime schedule already. Go ahead.
All right. Good night to the panelists too. I will start by saying, for a lack of knowledge, the people shall perish.
Right.
You know, my wife qualified for one of the houses, and Junior is very easy.
Yes.
It's very easy, and the younger you are in a better position. Even if you're working for $500 a fortnight, let's say you're working for $1,000 a month, the institution meeting your needs, you know, is what you could handle at the end of the month. You know, you could get it as low as $200, $220, $250 at the end of the month. You might take a longer time to pay. It's up to you. Mm-hmm. If you want to go harder, you could go harder. But it's very easy. Once you get the letter from the housing authority, once you get a letter from them, it's like the institutions, they are fighting for you.
Yes.
You know, my wife got through with one institution, and today, another one was calling her. It's like they're fighting for you. Once you have the approval letter, you just need a pay slip,
yes,
a job letter,
yes,
and proof of address.
Yes.
And that is it. You know, I listened to Minister Kate yesterday. She's a woman I have a lot of respect for, but I don't think she should try and be like her leader. You know, she's misleading the people, I would say. You know.
Yeah.
Like
well,
making
it's
people.
True. That's why I'm saying that, and that's why we're telling everybody. No matter what political party you're affiliated with, I don't care. You could be a Garyite, I don't care. What I'm telling you is take advantage of this opportunity. Don't let nobody tell you differently.
I will encourage people, especially young people, to take advantage of the opportunity. And Junior, inside of the houses, the cupboards, you know, the bathroom, mm-hmm. the lights.
Yeah.
Junior, state-of-the-art property.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
My wife always a house on the hill. So if we get the third floor, it's like a dream come true, because the view, you know, we had a viewing of the apartments last Friday, I think. Yeah, Friday.
Uh-huh.
That's the one in St. David's. And not too long from now, there will be a new hotel opening in St. David's. That's the Six Senses.
Uh-huh. Yes.
So St. David's will come like a little city just now. You know?
Nice.
Even if we don't decide to stay in the apartment, we could be renting that apartment for about $1,000 or more.
Yes.
Maybe 2-3 years from now. You know?
You see how you're thinking like an entrepreneur? I want everybody to think like that. I want everybody to think like that.
Well,
I want
the-
everybody to
the-
think about
the-
entrepreneur spirit. That's what it is.
The bathroom door is glass, sliding glass. The shower heads.
But wait, no.
You know, everything is state of the art, you know. Like it's like a hotel room you're in. You know?
Wow.
And I speaking from experience because I've been in them. We had viewing last week, you know.
Nice.
You know, I talked to a couple of my friends to take advantage of it. There are people that is refusing, people who qualify and they're refusing because of what they're hearing on the radio or on the television. They're refusing. And I encouraging my friends, my relatives to take advantage of that opportunity.
Yes.
I don't know about the one in Sotes, but the one in St. David's, state of the art
Yes.
property.
Nice. So
Thank
listen,
you.
congratulations, my brother. Congratulations, my
Yeah, man,
brother.
thanks.
And everybody
Thanks.
need to think like you and think about how they could capitalize on this thing. Think about this, brother. In the next 10 years or so, if you say, you know what, I want to move somewhere or whatever, your house value is what, about $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in a Virgin.
Thank you very much.
You
Thank
know
you
what I
very
mean?
much.
You're walking out a day with a whole $400,000 extra in your pocket, you know.
Yep.
Yo, it's a gift. I wish I had one. Dwight, close it up,
I'll
Dwight.
keep encouraging people to take advantage of it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you so much, and congratulations to you and the lady. All right,
Yeah, man, thanks.
all right. Big
Yeah,
up yourself,
have a
my
good
brother. Yeah, man. Dwight, final.
Yeah, I saw my good friend Dwight Dayton just showed me. Hey, good night, Dayton, my good friend. Listen, the caller, stop telling people that I want a host. Don't make all sense. But the point I wanted to make, right? And I want to tell this to people: if you can play the keyboard, you can play pan, you can play drums, any other musical instrument. There's something called the creative industry. The government of Green are giving 100 people free scholarships to go and learn about the creative industry in TAMCC. Get onto that. That's employment. Listen to me.
Yes.
I have a friend who lives and works in Antigua, and he makes triple times my salary in a week playing at some of the hotels. Triple times in a week.
Yeah.
People, there are opportunities. This government is empowering you. The creative industry is the next level.
Yeah.
And not only that, you can take that skill and you can go and work on a cruise ship. Boo! You can take that skill and you can travel. Am I lying, John? You can take that skill and go and play in St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Dominica, Antigua, St. Kitts. You don't need work permit and you don't need visa. You just need to jump on a plane, go and work. That's all I want to say to y'all.
Yeah.
There's nobody in Greenwich that could tell me that I unemployed. You got to be crazy.
Yeah,
Good night,
yeah,
everybody.
it
God
can
bless
be.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dwight, for that piece of information, guys. And I have a new venture that I'm starting, so I'm going to be employing about 4 or 5 individuals, Grenadians. So yeah, my new venture is going to start soon, but you have to be approved by tourism. So you have to have a tour guide. You have to take that tour guide class. So that's just me. That need 5 people, like in the next couple of weeks or so, next couple of months or so. There might be many, many more. So if you're sitting right there now and you're uncertain about where you could go, find out what's available at TAMCC. I think it's a tour guide certification program, I believe, or whatever. But you need that in order to work in the industry. Go and get that, and you're safe. Because there are always people that would need, whether it's in the upcoming cruise season, or hotels always need people for different tour guides. And once you certify, you're in the right place. You're cooking with gas. Janice, John Crow, and Dwight, thank you guys so much for joining us. And Janice, thanks again. I appreciate you. Thanks again. Really, really, really nice, guys. Guys, we're way overdue for a commercial break. Let me take this commercial break, guys, and I'll come back with my final closing words. Don't move. We'll be right back.
Cathwell Stationery Services Limited announces its massive blowout sale on all stationery for school and office. Get copy paper at just $18 per ream. Enjoy up to 18% off folders, cardstock, Bristol boards, ink and toner cartridges, laptops, office furniture, and more. To order now, call 442-5848 or 5747. Or call 435-3377 and get free delivery island-wide and the lowest prices nationwide. Or visit our outlet on Scott Street, St. George's, where we guarantee the lowest prices daily. Cathwill Stationery Services Limited, the reliable office supply people.
As we celebrate 50 years of independence,
I love my Grenada.
Made in Grenada presents the celebration of 50 years of Calypso.
Open me a little better night, honey.
One stage.
No, not so fast.
One show.
Music holding me, controlling.
Grenada's best Calypsonians performing Grenada's greatest hits.
Don't take it out.
Sunday, February 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. sharp. Grenada National Stadium. More information coming soon.
When the DJ play Peter Humphrey, she raise her hand and she tell me, making no place sweeter than home.
For a limited time, the NLA has dropped all of the 2X balls from the Multi-X draw. This means that you, our valuable players, have greater chances of multiplying your winnings up to 5 times more in our 2X drop promotion.
Yay!
And that's not all. As an additional bonus, there will be fewer free play or FP balls to draw from too. Now you have more reasons to add Multi-X to your playway bets. So, value your dreams, win your way, and multiply your winnings up to 5 times more in the NLA's 2X Dropped promotion. Promo runs until...
The Government of Grenada, through the Ministry of Finance, is continuing the rollout of its tax amnesty initiative. The amnesty provides 100% waiver of all interest and penalties on all outstanding balances up to the end of December 2021. All taxpayers with outstanding tax balances and outstanding returns to file are encouraged to take advantage of this amnesty. All tax types administered by the division are eligible for tax amnesty. For further information on the tax amnesty, please contact the Inland Revenue Division at 435-6945 or 435-6946. Email tpshelpdesk@ird.gov.gd or visit our website ird.gd. Amnesty ends December 31st.
Now, get ready to conquer the road with Zion Driving Instructors, conveniently located at 1782 Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We are your ticket to driving success. We are known for and specialize in the best rates for driving classes, ensuring you reach your driving goals affordably and efficiently. Our expert instructors offer personalized one-on-one training, making you a confident and skilled driver. Plus, we offer convenient 5-hour classes and various packages deal to give you even more value. Ready to take the wheel? Call us today at 718-374-5678. That's 718-374-5678. Or visit ZionDrivingInstructors.com. That's ZionDrivingInstructors.com. Zion Driving Instructors, your journey to the open road starts here. Contact us and make your driving dreams a reality. Mention this ad and get a 5% off selected package.
The Ministry of Tourism and Economic Development and the Grenada Tourism Authority extend a warm welcome to visitors and returning nationals visiting for Carnival and summer vacation. We do hope you enjoy your stay with us, and we invite you to return with friends and family to celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence on 7th February 2024. Tourism is my business, your business, our business. The Ministry of Tourism and Economic.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money.
Yeah. Guys, get ready. Get ready, guys. October 31st. October 31st, guys. The 50th Independence launch. That's happening on the Carnage. A massive event. And also another opportunity for me to jump a plane. I just came back from Grenada, guys, but I have to be there for this one. This is the 50th anniversary launch. October 31st, sorry. Starting time 4 p.m. on the Carnage. Make sure you mark it on your calendar and you get ready. Come with your Grenadian colors and thing now. Yeah? October 31st, we on the Carnage. Witness the official unveiling of the Independence theme, logo, and song. Specially marked by the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada. It will be amazing. You can't afford to miss that, guys. Write it down on your calendar. Grenada's 50th Independence launch, October 31st, the Carnage. When you're talking about Grenada things and merch and stuff like that, you see that? You see that? Boom. This is, guys, you see what you're watching right there? This is the Ride Along Wear. This is the official Ride Along Wear merch for Grenada Independence 50th anniversary. Now, it comes like this or it comes like this. You could get the long sleeve sweater. You even have the nice sexy thing for the ladies now. Get it, get it, get it. We're sporting that for the whole year. All right? That's what we're sporting for the whole year. But you're asking yourself, so where I could get it? Where I getting that, Jed? Boom. Link right there. Click that link. Click that link right there, guys. Go and purchase it. Free shipping worldwide. If you purchase today, it ships out. It sends out. Allow about a week and a half or so for shipping. But purchase it tonight. All right? That's what we wearing. That's what we wearing and thing. That's what we are wearing. Okay? Absolutely amazing. So, guys, I was telling you, we're moving into higher heights, right? And I love the fact that we are now on, boom! Yeah, we're on Fire TV. So if you have a Fire Stick, you can now download the Ride Along app on Fire TV and watch us on your television. In fact, guys, we have about 15,000 downloads already. So people all over the world watching us on the TV. Big up to the folks that's watching us on the Fire TV. Big up yourself. It's free. Guys, it's free. The app is free. Yeah, once you have the Fire TV, the app is free. Okay? Get it now. Guys, I know we have a donation link at the bottom of the page, right? Because every time around Christmas, what we do, we donate hams. If you remember last year, we donated about 25 ham. So we're doing it again this year, guys. So kind of, you know what I mean? Make a donation. Help us help you. Because this year we're thinking about donating about 50 different ham and gift items to the Caribbean region. So the link is at the bottom. It's pinned at the bottom. Click that link. Quick, easy. Make a little donation to help us, help you, and our community. Thank you so much in advance. Again, guys, on behalf of all of our team here at Ride Along Live, our senior executive producer, Lois JJ. Gail, how you doing? Kibbs, how you doing? Thank you, and thank you. You guys are simply the best, better than all. Rain go start to fall just now. Yeah. Free shipping worldwide. Get it right now for the Grenada outfit, okay? Okay. You donate anything else but not ham? We're not only ham we're giving, we're giving gift and thing. Yeah, you're giving gift and thing, man. Just making people Christmas nice and bright. All right? Just click the link and make a donation to Ride Along Live. Because you know when you donate, the money go in all the right places, eh? We don't play with that. Ride Along Live. Guys, thank you for watching again. Thanks for being a part of our program. We appreciate you so much. Catch you guys again tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.
now.